Eviction filings are expected to rise due to the eviction moratorium ending in August. How a new Maricopa County program is helping those renters facing eviction coming up.
Plus, Mexican Independence Day is this week. We talked to the Mexican Embassy as well as some tourists to test their knowledge of the historic day.
And later on Break It Down, we take a look at the business side of the Arizona Coyotes sports team.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Carolina Hassett.
And I'm Lauren Quinlan. Thank you for joining us. Despite the government assistance over the past year, millions are still struggling to get enough food on their plate, as well as getting caught up on rent. Bella HOFFMAN shares more on the latest poverty numbers.
According to numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau, the poverty rate rose this past year. However, the supplemental poverty measure, which includes cash resources and non-cash benefits, has declined over 2%. If you look at the numbers on food hardship, which measures adults who don't have enough food to eat, you can see the numbers peaked in December of 2020, but have decreased since the enactment of the American Rescue Plan. A similar trend is shown on rent hardship, which measures the share of adult renters who reported their household not being caught up on rent. These numbers are true nationally, but also here in Arizona.
For the first time ever, the supplemental poverty measure is below the official poverty measure for the United States. And, this is also the case in Arizona. And I think this is because it is showing the relative impact of what these programs did for the state of Arizona and for Arizonans, and how stimulus checks, SNAP, and other things had an outsized impact.
There's a chance more aid might be on the way. Congressional Democrats are working to write the details of the $3.5 trillion package that would expand the social safety net if passed. At the Google touchscreen, I'm Bella HOFFMAN, Cronkite News.
Maricopa County launched a new program that provides free legal services to renters facing eviction. Eviction filings are expected to rise since many renters lost protection when the eviction moratorium ended in August. And according to the Maricopa County Justice Courts, less than 1% of tenants in eviction court have had legal representation since COVID-19 began in March 2020. To solve these problems, the county is spending nearly $2.6 million in partnering with the nonprofit Community Legal Services to help renters navigate the eviction process and help landlords receive the rental assistance they need to keep these tenants.
This service for Community Legal Services is really to make sure that renters know their tenant rights, the responsibilities of landlords, to help facilitate, what happens during the eviction process, as well as help facilitate any discussions with landlords so that payments can be made and evictions can be prevented.
Maricopa County has so far allocated nearly $120 million towards rental assistance. If you or someone you know is facing eviction due to non-payment of rent, please visit maricopacounty.gov to learn what legal and monetary assistance may be available.
The U.S. Forest Service halted a large-scale restoration effort here in Arizona. The goal? To thin hundreds of square miles of land to help lessen the risk of wildfires in the state. Some officials are critical of the decision, saying they're concerned about the potential impact on local communities. The Forest Restoration Initiative, which is an agency that oversees 300,000 square miles of forest in the U.S., is the largest of its kind within the Forest Service. The project had struggled to keep pace with forest growth, and the agency did not award a contract for the thinning of more than 800 square miles.
For more than 200 years, the Mexican Independence Day has been celebrated in the month of September, although in the United States, it is less celebrated than in Mexico. Cronkite News reporter Kimberly Silverio Bautista explains how these two countries celebrate it differently.
¡Viva México!
Americans often think of Cinco de Mayo as Mexico's Independence Day, which actually falls this week. But Americans can be forgiven for making a mistake that even some South Americans make.
All the people celebrate Cinco de Mayo. When I came to this country thinking Cinco de Mayo was Mexico's Independence Day.
Magda Roca is originally from Bolivia, where she says Cinco de Mayo is as popular in the U.S.
The entire world talks about Cinco de Mayo. All the Americans know, and they don't know Mexico's real independence.
That real Independence Day is September 16, 1810, when Father Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla declared independence from Spain. Cinco de Mayo commemorates an entirely different part of Mexico.
Cinco de Mayo actually commemorates the victory of the Mexican army over the French army. There was a French invasion, and we won that particular battle in Puebla.
Ishnik Iruegas of the Mexican Cultural Institute says Cinco de Mayo is still a very big deal in Puebla, but not so much in the rest of Mexico.
For us in Mexico, it's not a holiday, strictly speaking. We don't get together. It's not a party. It's just something that we know happened.
Washington resident Walid Wade only learned that when I told him.
Awareness is everything. So I think when you become more aware, like me doing this interview, I didn't even know this was a problem.
Even though Cinco de Mayo is mainly a U.S. excuse to celebrate, Wade said it would be nice if Americans had a better understanding of the day.
There's no history behind it or any real importance to the people celebrating it. And I think there needs to be more awareness about what that really means.
Roca doesn't expect that to happen anytime soon.
But there is a lot of information, and obviously part of the ignorance, because we are left with the Cinco de Mayo celebration to go to restaurants, festivals, and everything that happens on the border.
She says it's easy to forget the real date of Mexico's Independence Day, but now that she knows, Roca has a message for Mexicans everywhere.
Congratulations to all Mexicans for their Day of Independence.
In Washington, Kimberly Silveria Bautista, Cronkite News.
The summer raining season is coming to an end, but we saw a lot of it this year. How much the monsoons helped us with the drought and saving water, coming up.
To stream. For the first time ever, our most popular programs have been selected just for you.
But there's so much more.
Whether you like to travel,
wow,
feast,
and calories don't count.
Look back,
that is me.
Discover.
And you know the whole story.
There's something for everyone.
Let's get to it right away.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
The monsoon season officially runs from June 15th until September 13th. As we near the end of this year's summer rains, Evan List tells us from the Weather Center about some of the best monsoon activity on record, which provided many benefits for the state.
We have just 13 days left in this year's monsoon. While it may have looked dry at the beginning of the season, once the monsoon arrived, it came down in torrents and it came down often. Different spots around the state even broke records, and benefits were felt far and wide. The green turf of the country club at DC Ranch is often hard won during the desert summers as sprinklers work overtime, but not this summer.
So there was a period of time in July where we literally didn't turn on our irrigation system for about 12 or 13 days consecutively. In our budget, we probably saved close to $26,000 in water costs with the rain that we've gotten over the last couple months.
This year's monsoon has helped businesses and households across the valley save water and therefore money for irrigation. The rains have also been so plentiful that we're able to put water back into our reservoirs.
We've actually been able to moderate our drought with this summer precipitation, which is exceptional and amazing. We've actually had enough precipitation where we can put water into our reservoirs, which is unheard of in summer typically.
By the end of July, Phoenix saw about 84% more monsoonal rainfall than all of last summer. Some parts of the state even saw drought improvement of up to 3 categories out of 5, a rare feat for summertime in the desert Southwest.
There's 4 levels of drought. So there's exceptional, extreme, and then we look at moderate and severe, moderate being the lowest. And we've been just traumatized with the highest level, which is that exceptional level. And I'm not showing any exceptional in the state for this coming report, which is amazing.
Soffel says that normally we have to wait for winter precipitation to help with drought, but this year's summer monsoon was so active that it did the job. PARISH says the active monsoon also means an active greens crew, but they aren't complaining. I think a lot of people were really happy about all that extra rainfall received this summer. In fact, we were only 0.02 inches off from the wettest monsoon on record for our water system. So really good news for the valley and the state in general. And although it may feel like and look like we're going to add to that today if you go outside and see the clouds, it's really just due to an upper level disturbance moving through, which will help increase our cloud cover. But we won't see much in the way of rain in the valley. Other parts of the state will. As we look through Sunday, you can see the influence of that upper level disturbance, and you can see the impulses of rain throughout the state. That'll miss us for the most part in the valley. Looking at the highs tomorrow, again, reflective of that storm system moving through our region. Only a high of 97 in the valley and 101 down in Yuma. Pretty low for this time of the year, especially as last week we were flirting with 110 in the valley, and we are in about 114 in the Colorado River Basin in the western part of the state, and 70 degrees in Flagstaff, so absolutely beautiful. Looking into the evening with that cloud cover out and about, that will really limit the amount of what we call radiative cooling going into the evening. So how cold we get, how much of the day's heat is able to get back into the atmosphere. You can see 9 p.m. still 90 degrees. So really just, you want to keep probably the air conditioner on for tonight because we'll have a little bit of higher humidity as well. Going into the weekend, we keep temps right around 100 degrees, which is probably where we want to see them for this time of the year. As that storm system moves out, we fall back into a drier pattern. Going into next week, we increase our temperatures a little bit with high pressure moving in. Overall, though, we won't see too much rain, too much chances of rain for the forecast for the Valley of the Sun. In the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Evan Liss.
I'm Amna Spawn. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report, including the story of how a husband and wife team up to coach ASU gymnastics.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves. You know, I don't go anywhere without my passport. And now, thanks to PBS Passport, you can travel with me and watch all 10 seasons of Rick Steves Europe and all my travel specials. This exclusive streaming service is just for our members. Not only can you see all my shows, but you can see thousands of hours of your favorite public television shows. Become a member today and get your passport.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Welcome back. I'm Amna Spawn with your Cronkite Sports Report. The Arizona State Gymnastics team has a pair of head coaches that have a bond that extends outside the gym. Cronkite News reporter Talia Massey shows us why the dynamic duo works so well.
To share the title of head coach requires a chemistry like no other. For the Arizona State women's gymnastics team, their coach's chemistry is undeniable. It is bound by wedding vows and unfailing love.
One of the things we bring up a lot when we coach with each other is just that trust factor. You know, you'll never trust your coworker any more than like being with your husband.
Jessica and Jay Santos share the title of head coach after Jessica was promoted from associate head coach in June.
I was obviously thrilled. A little surprised, you know, that it happened as fast as it did, but at the same time, just, you know, really thrilled.
While coaching at different schools, the couples met during recruiting trips, and the rest is history. The two are able to complement each other really well.
Jess can be the more sensitive one sometimes, and then it's like, so if Jess is more sensitive, then Jay is kind of a little bit like more tough, but they also kind of like are able to flip-flop like back and forth.
But once the couple is done in the gym, they come home to their 2 sons, Mason and Cooper. Having a family helps them balance their work and personal lives.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most the biggest challenge that we face is trying to separate that, because our work is always with us. We work really long hours. When it's family time, and like they're the most important thing.
It is clear that the Santoses are a successful package deal, coaching over a decade together. In that time, they've managed to turn around the gymnastics team at Eastern Michigan and are now setting records here at ASU. In Tempe, Talia Massey, Cronkite News.
ASU Gymnastics is coming off a great season where they finished 5-5 and missed the NCAA championship by 1 spot. They're looking to build off that success this season. And here are 3 stories that we are tracking for this weekend. The Mercury are in action tonight against the Seattle Storm, but this is not your typical regular season game. A first-round bye in the upcoming playoffs is on the line, with the winner clinching the 4th seed. The game tips off tonight in Seattle at 7 p.m. on NBA TV. Saturday will feature an in-state rivalry matchup between the Wildcats and Lumberjacks. U of A and NAU last faced off in 2019, which resulted in a 65-41 victory for Arizona. This time, Arizona is looking for their first win in the Jedd Fisch era. The Cardinals are home for the first time in the young NFL season. If you were a fan attending the first home game, the team has put out a couple reminders. The team cited CDC recommendations that all fans, regardless of vaccination status, should wear masks while indoors. All tickets and parking passes are digital this year and can be managed in the Cardinals mobile app. The main gates are expected to open at 11 a.m. And that does it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Carolina and Lauren.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.